All right, guys, wonderful people. Thank you so much for coming for the very first Dreamweave Campfire. It's very, very special day for me actually launching this. This is the first of many. I'm planning community gatherings whereby we're going to create a space for people to come to learn, to share, to form community. And I would love for this to turn into a really supportive network of people who are coming together to uplift themselves and move towards creating their dreams in life, which is what this project is all about. The project Dreamweaver. Tracy, I didn't say hi to Tracy. Sorry, sorry, my dear.
This is my friend Jordan.
Jordan, hello, mate.
Hi.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So yeah, this is part of the my project Dreamweaver, which is a movement to help people to move towards their dreams in life. Because this is a massive topic, and it's often very very difficult for people to move towards their dreams. There's so much in the way of that. There's all of the internal stuff that we need to deal with, whether it's the low self worth, the lack of self belief, sabotage even, and as well as knowing what we need to know in order to create the life that we want to create for ourselves. And then once we move through this, we've also got the external things in life that can be challenging, such as financial resources. We live in a system that potentially makes it difficult for us to move towards our dreams in life. And it's a very very big study. Like again, it's like learning the knowledge and the things that we need to learn in order to move towards our dreams as well. So this is what I'm dedicating the next part of my life to, and I'd love to, yeah, move with this in community. And like, I don't want this to be my thing. I want this to be our thing, and anyone who's involved and really, really feel that. I've spent much of my life like walking alone, like very like kind of like loner wolf, and this is the time to really walk together in community towards a shared goal and hopefully a shared dream. So welcome all. Thank you for coming so much. So this is going to be an interactive event. These are all going to be very interactive. So at points, I'm going to be giving you different questions. And for this one, whilst I'm finding my feet with it, if I could ask you to answer in the chat, and then maybe later on we'll experiment in other campfires with breakout rooms and more dialogue. But for now, what you can do for the questions to answer, there's a chat function on Zoom. Some of you might be familiar with it, some of you might not. It's at the bottom toolbar, and what you can do, you can click on that, and anything that you wanted to add or talk about or put in the chat, please feel free to do so. And like I say, there'll be different opportunities as we go through this campfire to yeah to pop things in the chat based on what we're talking about. And yes, this is the campfire. So for since time immemorial, we've gathered together around the fire to discuss stories and share with one another. And by the grace of technology, we can do this internationally over from the comfort of our living rooms. So yeah, thank you, Zoom, as well as thank you for coming. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Transforming pain into purpose. So I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, and then at the end there, I've put a lot of time for questions as well. So if you've got any questions that come up throughout, just jot them down, and then yeah, there'll be a space to answer towards the end. Okay, can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see the presentation? It should say, yeah, okay, cool, we got the thumbs, great. All right, guys, the first Dreamweave Campfire, transforming pain into purpose. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start off with a little bit about my story and context of what brought me into working so deeply with pain. So this is me many years ago on site in Swansea with my little brother. I used to be a mechanical engineer of around 10 years, and I used to love the job. Like, it was great figuring out how things worked out, but I could feel that something wasn't quite right. It wasn't my soul wasn't singing. It wasn't lighting me up, and at a certain point I decided to change. But what happened were to facilitate and be a catalyst for that change was me being plunged into my nightmare. So I had a very, very difficult time with my mental health, and basically had a full-blown mental breakdown, and which actually led to a breakthrough, um, in terms of what I was able to do for myself later on. But it was very, very difficult for quite a long period of time. I had to take 3 months off work, anxiety, depression. I was in collapse state. It was really, really bad. So living my nightmare, and we're going to talk a lot about this concept of the nightmare today, because the nightmare is what a lot of people are living, that is moving against our dream. But within the nightmare can be the seed of the dream. So I picked myself up, got into exercise, and started plunging into all sorts of different challenges. So here's me doing a Tough Mudder, ran a half marathon, started raising money for charity, which was really helping me with my mental health. And then I eventually did the Ironman triathlon, which still is one of the best days of my life. It's me like super euphoric, just about to cross the finish line. And I was healing through this exercise. It was helping me to raise out of where I was. I then went and cycled through Mexico, which I had the time of my life. This is me in Mexican Christmas, about 11 years ago. And yeah, I had a belter. I can highly recommend Mexico. It's a great country. Love the place. Then towards the end of this trip, or I was planning to go further, but then the nightmare started to raise up again. I started getting problems with my biking, and a knee problem started coming up, and I didn't know much about exercise apart from what I'd been doing with the triathlon, and I was super out of balance. My hips were out of kilter, everything twisted, and this was creating a postural distortion and pain in my body. So I cut the trip short and ended up flying back to Blighty. And through this pain and through a passion for exercise, I retrained as a corrective exercise specialist, helping people to overcome their pain challenges, whilst also trying my best to study and overcome mine. So he's back in my more clinical days. I got a little bit more hair now, I studied at the Czech Institute and basically learned the science of how to start helping people with complex problems in their body. And yeah, it was a big part of it was an effort to fix my hip, which it took me so many years, and there's still some to go. And it's interesting because my hip has led me on this mad journey of learning and discovery, and it was frustrating at the start because I was seeing clients with the same hip imbalance heal within 2-3 weeks or get the hip muscle strong, but no matter what I did, I couldn't get the muscle strong, and it took me on this mad journey of moving into my physical body, moving into my energetic body, exploring my own stored trauma, which was actually what was preventing the muscle from firing and turning on was my trauma. It's led me on an investigation of my own sense of masculinity and many more things. So taught me a lot, this hip, of which I'm deeply thankful for. And it's led me into doing what I do now, Phoenix Coaching and Therapies, helping people to heal from all sorts of manners of health problems, pain challenges, and and also helping people to release stored emotion that has been preventing their healing as well. Okay, so part one of the Campfire, let's get into it. The pain teacher. Now, the nightmare of pain. Now, if you're a human being, I can guarantee that at some point you have experienced the pain of some sort. Maybe you're even in pain now, and you know we all know what it feels like. It's not very pleasant to be with, and yeah, through the very nature of it, it can be very debilitating and, let's say, undesirable to have. And now, within the context of this campfire, now I know quite a few of you are not actually in pain, and this isn't just a presentation on physical pain. I'm talking about all kinds of pain because the principles I'm going to be sharing are applicable across all kinds of different pains. So mental pain, mental health issues, emotional challenges, existential pain, spiritual pain, relational pain. It can all be, brought under these principles. However, there is a focus on physical pain within this campfire, but if you're not in physical pain, I would recommend thinking of some sort of other pain that you might be in, and kind of put that to this presentation that we're going to go through. So yeah, the nightmare of pain. So pain impacts our energy, it saps it away, it can take away our hope. So I've worked with many clients who've started to give up hope that they'll ever be able to heal. And there's in most cases a lot of hope, but people generally aren't doing the correct things or enough of the right things. Identity. So this is massive. This is what I see a lot with people who have been in pain for a long time. It starts to become part of their story, part of their identity. And once something becomes part of your identity, you then tend to facilitate more of that, and it reinforces this story of this is who I am. I'm the wounded person in pain, which then can actually form a debilitating story that will prevent you from actually getting out of the pain. It takes a big knock on our confidence, particularly when we used to be able to do things, but now we can't. It takes away our possibility. Talk with a lot of people who, say walking up a hill isn't a possibility for them anymore, or playing with their grandkids. It impacts our dreams and our ability to create our dreams. However, also within the pain is the potential seed for our dreams, which we're going to talk about later. And ultimately, pain impacts our quality and overall experience of life. All right. So just want to spend a couple of minutes busting a couple of pain beliefs, because our belief systems our life is a product of our belief systems, and I also see it, as well as the stories that we're living in our life, it's our belief systems that also hold us back from overcoming pain. So one, pain is inevitable as I get older. Had this with a client, and this same client resigned to the fact that he was getting older, and because he was getting older and pain's inevitable, he stopped doing the exercises, stopped doing the stretches, stopped caring about his nutrition, and stopped doing the very things that would actually keep him out of pain. Due to a belief system. Pain equals damage, not necessarily, because pain is a messenger. That doesn't necessarily mean that something's damaged per se. Rest fixes pain, definitely helps, but often the pain requires some sort of engagement with it in order to heal from it. Again, not just talking about physical pain, all different realms of pain. We need to engage with it. Painkillers fix pain. It can help. I'm not against them, but if we're habitually taking painkillers, then this can numb and ultimately put us in more pain. Scans tell the whole story. They're definitely useful. We get a scan, but it's a snapshot of what's happening. It's not necessarily the full picture, because we need to understand the person's story, what's happened to them in the past, what's their diet like, are they exercising, are they sleeping. So whilst the scans are helpful, they're not like a definitive. I need to treat the area, so often where we experience pain isn't actually where the pain is coming from. And the magic bullet. So we are in this kind of quick fix magic bullet society of, have this pill or do this wonder exercise, and it's going to fix all of your problems. And I don't want to break it to you guys, but I know you guys are pretty on a level. Like the quick fix rarely exists. I say rarely because sometimes things can happen, but often we need to be looking at an integrated approach to overcome pain, rather than just relying on like a one-shot wonder of something. Okay, so I want to put it to you guys. So the question for the chat, if pain wasn't limiting me, what would I be doing more of? So yeah, if you click the chat button, and anyone who wants to answer that question, feel free to just pop it in the chat. Anyone? It's all good if we're shy as well, guys. This is a new thing. Having more fun, yeah, that's a good one. More fun exercise and more intense exercise, yeah, nice. Complain less, yeah. It's interesting that fun comes up twice with you guys. Be more present. Yeah, this is a good one. It's, pain takes us away from our presence, but also can make us very present, but we're present on the pain. presence again, movement, outdoor activities, yeah, focus more international travel, yeah, nice, nice, nice. Cool. Anyone else? Express myself. Past trauma, pain. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, that's quite a deep one there. Thanks, Dave. Um, yeah, cool. So great stuff. Thank you, guys. So we'll move on. More freedom to enjoy life more. Yeah, nice. Freedom, big one, big one. My thoughts are that actually like freedom is like a really key word when it comes to pain and as well as our dream. So yeah, cool, guys. So if you remember these answers, because we're going to cycle back a little bit later. Okie dokie. So right, I want to introduce you guys to the pain teacher. Now, the pain teacher. He looks like a nice guy, doesn't he? Looks like a nice dude. And this is how I have trained myself to think about pain, and how I recommend others like treat their pain as a teacher, because the pain is often here because it's trying to show us something, or something that we need to learn from it, or it's trying to teach us. So there's a quote here: we're taught to view pain as an enemy, not a teacher, but pain is the right hand of growth and transformation. Pain is in the history of all human wisdom. So it's a big player now. So yeah, this is like kind of like what the pain teacher, this is his vibe, but what he usually shows up as is more like this. By the time we are experiencing the pain teacher, the wound is where the light enters. Rumi, yeah, nice one, Sonny. So now, how do we relate to our pain and the pain teacher? Now, what is our relationship to pain? Now, most people are in avoidance of their pain. They're doing everything that they can to escape it, get away from it, or maybe even numb it out. Which I'm not knocking, by the way, because it is a strategy. It's not always the best strategy, but it is a strategy, and it's an attempt to move something. But yeah, we're in this, either in this avoidant relationship, or even in this pain is the enemy relationship with it, and we need to fight the pain. And this is where, I think of the example of like the war on cancer and fighting cancer, which I believe is actually not the healthiest mindset to be working with that disease, because when we're in the psychology of fighting something, we're going to be creating a fight response within. Stress response, cortisol goes up, and a body full of cortisol is the perfect environment, or a nice environment for something like cancer to grow in. Whereas if we're like focusing on harmonizing the body and building this relationship with the disease as something that wants to teach us, then we can start moving with it differently. We start behaving differently. And we start making different choices that are more conducive to moving with love. So we've got here, neurosis is a natural product of pain avoidance. Quote by Jung there. So how it usually goes with people, like knock knock, who is there? So, hey guys, the pain teacher, your friend. I'm coming with a slight knock on the door, give you a little bit of pain, and you know what? There's something here that maybe you can benefit from looking at. How do you feel about that? You want to have a look? And it's like, maybe later. Yeah, maybe later. I'll take a look at it. And it's just like, okay. Pain teacher comes back another day, and he starts knocking a little bit louder, and he's like, bro, you didn't listen to me. Like, I'm gonna give you some more pain. I'm gonna knock a little bit louder here. Like, there's something that you need to address, bro. And why aren't you addressing it? He doesn't look happy, does he? He doesn't look happy. And then you're like, yeah, I know, yeah, it's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, tomorrow I'll do it. And then the person doesn't do it, and then eventually the pain teacher goes like, right, all right, have it your way. Screw you, buddy. I'm going to come down, break down the door, and chuck you over a fence onto some spikes. And this comes up in the form of the disc herniation, or the relationship breakdown, or the business loss, or the very difficult life event that you destroys you, and you need to pick up the pieces. So And notice how, whilst Miss Trunchbull wasn't the best teacher by any stretch, still, if we're not listening to the lessons that the pain teacher is trying to give us, she's still a good teacher, because unfortunately some people do need to get to that crisis point in order to change, because we tend to be reactive rather than proactive. So in my opinion, it's good to listen to the knocks when the pain teacher is showing up as this guy. So why does pain arise? Now, very simply, we can boil back to this simplicity. Like pain arises because of some sort of imbalance somewhere, some sort of imbalance and potentially some sort of disconnection. So when we are balanced one way for an extended period of time, living in an extreme of something, whether that's a postural position within the body, or whether it's someone who's go, 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 do, non-stop, burning out, or whether it's someone who's stagnant and just laying on the sofa like all of their time and not taking action. Eventually, these things are going to create some sort of problem for us. So something to address, because something's out of balance. Now, the Buddha said life is suffering, and that could be viewed as quite a negative, saying. But I choose to see that as a potential positive. Reason for that is that we're here in this human experience, and suffering is going to be absolutely inevitable at some point. So for me, this points me towards like, well, if it's inevitable, what can we control around that? We can control our reaction to that, and we can control how we think about it and how we respond to it, which is what we're going to be opening and elaborating on more as we go. So the pain is it doesn't always seem like it, but the pain is trying to give us a gift, because if we roll with the understanding that within the pain is trying to teach us something, it's trying to show us something, it's trying to bring something to consciousness, then within that, if we can see, what is this pain trying to teach me, and what do I maybe need to do in order to learn that lesson, and then the pain will go. My mentor Paul Chek says a great saying. He says that pain will only leave the body once it's done teaching you. Pain will only leave the body once it's done teaching you. So yeah, pain gets our attention to something that needs to be addressed. It reveals imbalances within our lives, invites us into awareness, so it could be this great learning catalyst, asks us to learn, calls us into change, because by the nature of pain, if pain is present, the chances are that something isn't working somewhere. And it's not always easy to see. Sometimes it is easier though. Develops resilience. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, the old adage. Deepens compassion. When we know what it's like, it activates our compassion for others who go through similar things, and can also be the seed of starting initiatives to help others through wanting to spare others the pain that we've experienced ourselves. Transforms our perspective. It changes us. Pain is a fully necessary alchemical process that brings change to our life. It like the change is change, death, and taxes. Like there's three definite and constant things that are present within life. And again, if we resist that pain, we resist the lessons that the pain is going to bring to us, this change process is stunted, and maybe even halted, and what happens then? More pain. There's no getting away from it. Life is suffering, but we can engage with it. Pain can uncover our purpose, and pain can also point us towards our dream, which we're going to share a little bit more about later. And Jung said, there's no coming to consciousness without pain. So pain is this great locomotor of our growth, development, and consciousness, which is the gift that it's trying to bring. And ultimately, pain is asking us or inviting us into relationship, not only with it, but with life. When we can feel how bad things can get, this can lead to us experiencing more joy, more fulfillment, more happiness, because we know how bad things can be. Again, if we proactively engage with the pain and proactively engage with life, this tends to lead to a more fulfilling time within our life. And and we also tend to move through the pain a lot quicker as well through working with it and engaging it. Okay, I'll put it to you guys in the chat. So, has pain ever taught you anything valuable that you can think of? We're really curious to find out. Hi, welcome Claire as well to the space. Yeah, what's pain needed to slow down and rest, Lucy? Yeah, nice. Show me my blind spots. Yeah, nice, Sonny. Yeah, it tends to do that. The question was, has pain ever taught you something valuable? Learning about healthy food and lifestyle. Nice. Yeah, nice, Liz. Poor posture was causing migraines. Yeah, that's a massive one. Yeah, if the head's forward, it kind of cuts off the blood vessels to the brain and can cause migraines. Take better care of my body, physically, mentally, and nutrition. Nice. Yeah. Help me find my ability for great joy and pleasure through singing. Wow, yeah, that's a beautiful portal. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. I'm my own greatest healer. Yes, we are our own greatest healers. Absolutely. It's great to get help from other people, but ultimately we are in the driver's seat of our healing journey. When it's time to let go? Yeah, nice one. Yeah, yeah. Myself has taught me many things. Continues to teach me. Yeah, many things. For me, it also taught me to slow down a lot. Taught me a lot of compassion for myself, a lot of self-love, many things. Led me into doing what I'm doing. Outlet of creativity, yeah, nice. Anyone else before we go move on? No pain, no gain is outdated. Yeah, I agree. I fully agree. Is that belongs in the '80s bodybuilding dungeons? Uh, yeah. So I think I actually it does depend. I think when you're training very intensely, maybe there's a place for it. But generally, yeah, I would agree that it's outdated for sure. Okay, guys, nice one. Let's move on. Rashes on skin from Candida, constant teacher to correct addictive behaviors that create the environment for fungal overgrowth. Fantastic. Yeah, so that's a deep level of awareness there because a lot of people are very disconnected between the health problems that they experience and the behavior that's potentially driving them. So, to see that, okay, my addictive behaviors are influencing the Candida. I don't want to experience this. So the pain that I'm experiencing from the skin rashes will guide me towards changing. Well, not me, you. But actually it was me, actually, because I did have some real bad skin issues from gluten a few years ago. So it was me as well. All right, nice one, guys. Let's move on. Okay, part 2, portals of pain. Portals of pain. Okay, so we're going into this section now. This is going to be quite a heavy teaching section. I've given you lots of different topics here, and I'm going to go surface level on most of them just to give you a flavour for things, because a big part of this is creating awareness, because there's so many things that can create our pain, and we're in this age whereby the AI is here, and whilst there are challenges with AI, there's also some great things with it. I'm going to probably do a webinar all about AI next year. But if something piques your curiosity with any of these topics, then I encourage write it down and maybe do an AI search on it a little bit later, because each one of these portals of pain that I mentioned is its own campfire in of itself. So I can't go too deep into all of it because there's a lot I want to cover. But yeah, if there's anything that stands out, then recommend going into some research yourselves. Okie dokie. So first off, sacred structure. Oh my God, the human being, the wondrous technology that we are is just, it's nuts what we are and what we're made of and what we're here for. And we are like this perfect design in our highest form. And you can see the Vitruvian man here overlaid on the flower of life as a beautiful metaphor for when we're in coherence and when we're in balance with ourselves. We're not just in balance with ourselves, we're in balance with life. And to the degree at which we're in balance with life is the degree at which we enjoy a healthy life, living with passion, living with love. And it's the degree that pain doesn't really show up so much in our experience. Oh, there's someone just that needs to mute themselves. If everyone can check if they're muted, por favor, that'd be awesome. That's pretty cool, actually. I didn't notice that the center of the flower of life is right on his belly button. That's interesting. Okay, so we are amazing, essentially. But we get out of balance, and then the pain is correcting us, sending us back to balance. So Portal 1, getting to the core of the matter, so physical body. Right, so here we've got one of the most important muscles in the body. It's called the transversus abdominis, and it's our deep abdominal wall. Now, the function of this muscle is to stabilize the body, it's to protect the spine, it's to transfer force from lower body to upper body, and it's to attenuate force as well. Now, this guy's a big player when it comes to injury, and like most injuries root back to this guy either not being conditioned or switched off in some way due to abdominal surgery, pregnancy, digestive health issues, which we'll get onto. This guy's a big player. Now, here we've got a cannonball being shot from a canoe. Now, if you imagine the force of a cannon shooting from a canoe, what that would actually do, it would rip the boat apart. And this is kind of like the metaphor for our core when it's weak and deconditioned. You put force through that structure and it's going to collapse. Something's going to blow, you're going to get pain, you're going to hurt your back or your shoulder or your hip or your knee if this guy isn't switched on and working. Now also this guy, as well as numerous other core muscles attached to the spine, so we can see his pirate ship here. Now a couple of these images are borrowed from the book How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. If you haven't got that in your library, I really recommend getting it. It's a phenomenal book. It's like the Bible for health. How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. So yeah, we've got this all of these ropes which are muscles, and they kind of pull on the spine, and when they're out of balance they're going to put stress on the spine. So essentially when this guy isn't working, pain is going to happen, and also posture degradation. So remember this, because this is going to be one of the themes as we go through. All right, so structure of the body. Now we can think of the body like a bicycle wheel. So if the muscles are spokes, if you've got some spokes that are tight and other spokes that are loose, that's going to pull your bike rim out of alignment, and you're going to get a bit of a bumpy ride down the road. So the bit in the middle is like the core, and then the rim is like the spine. So we have here a couple of Jenga towers. Now, when everything's tensioned nicely, everything's working well, this is kind of like what our spine and general body is looking like. When it's not, when it's like our bike wheel, that's a shaky Jenga tower. So, you know, if you put a pint of water on top of that. Oh, Liz has literally got the Jenga out right now. Nice. Literally got a Jenga tower pre-built. Amazing. So if I put a pint of water on the second one, that's going to collapse, and that's pain when we pick up the weight or the bag of flour. So yeah, the balance of the body is really, really key for us not to be in pain. Okay, next thing to think about is brake pad pain. So here we can see a number of different postural changes. So we've got this woman here, forward neck, forward shoulder, ankles are a bit wonky, shoulders are a little bit out, there's a spinal curvature here. Now, whenever muscles and joints are out of alignment, what we kind of get is this brake pad. You know when you've got the brake pad of the car and the brake pad touches on the wheel a little bit, that brake pad's going to wear through a lot quicker. So that's kind of what's happening within a joint that's out of alignment. You're getting wear and tear because the joint's not in a position whereby it can optimally work, and the joints start rubbing, and then the body gives you the gift of pain to tell you that something is going on to be addressed within your physical body. Our physical body. Portal 2, excuse me, fascia, the endless web. Okay, fascia, this stuff is fascinating, and I know like a few of you have done some fascia work, so you'll know a little bit about this already. So the fascia, this is the connective tissue of the body, and whilst the skeleton is like this fixed internal structure, the fascia forms this external dynamic structure, which influences our movement and yeah, the ability to hold posture in the body. So It's very interesting stuff. Layer by layer, you've got the skin, superficial fascia on top, deep fascia underneath, muscle, but really the fascia is this web, this connective tissue that runs all through the body, all through the organs, all through the cells, through every muscle, and it's like it's like a morph suit that you can see the people pulling on the morph suit. So when the fascia goes out of balance, this is kind of like what's happening within the body. Now, fascia runs in functional tracks or trains through the body. Now, this image and this guy here is borrowed from the Anatomy Trains text by a genius called Thomas Myers, who's done a lot of pioneering work with fascia in the last 40 years. And these are the trains of fascia that run through the body. Now, they interweave with muscles and they create structure and dynamic movement. So we've got one on the front here, which flexes you forward, one on the back, which opens and extends the body, two which spiral around the body. This one's kicks in when we throw things, and then the last one is like our deep core system. So the fascia is this communication highway for the whole body. But structurally, it also creates something called tensegrity in the system. Now, tensegrity is basically how a suspension bridge is kept up. So through opposing forces generated by the wires and attenuating the force and the weight through mathematical equations, the bridge is able to stand. So the fascia acts as this dynamic, moving structure for the body to maintain its structural integrity. So again, when that starts to break down, the body gives us the gift of pain to draw our attention to it. So I'm going to sound a little bit like a parrot saying that. It's fascia as well, arteries, nerves interweave through it, so it's our communication highway. Actually communicates through light and electricity as well, which is really interesting. And yeah, so fascia is the foundation of movement, has an impact on posture, stores emotional trauma, enhances energy flow, and is not the key, but one of the keys to healing. So we can get into challenges with the fascia. So over the knocks and tumbles of life, we get adhesions in the fascia, restrictions, and then like that morph suit, it starts to pull things out of alignment and create distortions. So you've got your healthy fascia, fascia that starts to degrade, and then you get all of these adhesions, which ultimately creates less space in the body, less maneuverability, so you get really, really tight, restricted. Body stops moving. When the body stops moving, pain is around the corner. So again, yeah, here through adhesions, this also, as well as the core not being fired, creates posture coming out. You see his rounded shoulders in this man and this woman. So great environment for a neck problem, shoulder problem. You can see both of their cores are disengaged. So this is the potential lower back problem. It's the knee problem. Again, these postural changes cause the brake pads to wear out, and you get pain as the gift to show you something's up. Okay, signs of dysfunction: chronic pain, reduced range of motion, tension, stiffness, fatigue, postural issues, emotional discomfort. You know, when the body's out, you don't feel good emotionally. Swelling and inflammation, and limited flexibility. Okay, Portal 3. I think I might have skipped a page. Hang on. No. Okay, Portal 3, maladaptive movement and compensation. So this is an extension of the fascia conversation. So you can see here some of the fascia lines in dynamic movement. So when we do our yoga, it's working all of the fascia lines. So we open the front, it's working front line. We do our half moons, it's working the side lines, and so on. So the muscles live within the fascia. Now, when the fascia is not happy, the muscles start firing differently. It's going to create changes, which creates compensations. Now, often when we're in pain, compensation will happen naturally, and not just physical pain, but we compensate for emotional pain and mental pain as well. Often through maladaptive behaviors, like addictive behaviors, are often compensations for mental emotional pain. So yeah, we just want to again remind this is broader than just the physical. So, but we like compensation to a degree, because the compensation keeps us moving, keeps us out of pain until the compensation itself starts creating distortions in the body or distortions in the mind and emotions and behaviors, which then ultimately then create us more pain. And here we've got a guy sat at a desk as a practical example. So now, when we sit at the desk for a long time, the body compensates to get really good at sitting at the desk. So what happens is the shoulders round, glutes and hamstrings switch off because we're not using them, we don't need them. So the body gets rid of them because they consume energy. Back rounds, we get all sorts of imbalances, and then at some point we'll get the back or neck pain. And in the case of the lower back, if we're bending forward all the time, what tends to happen is there's this gel-like nucleus of the disc makes its way out towards the back, touches on the nerve, and we're going to get possible sciatica and pain, again, as a warning sign, a gift to say, hey, the body's not happy, we need to move. All right, so number of different techniques for the physical. Manual therapy, self-massage, stretching, movement, breathing techniques, somatic practices, myofascial release, hot and cold, energy healing, body work. All are great, all are good. And then we've got the 6 foundation principles of hydration, nutrition, sleep, moving, thinking, and breathing, which are the 6 core foundations of health. So there's lots you can do. I really recommend trying lots of different things. I see it as each person's got like a series of locks, and each modality is like a key for their lock, and each person has, in my opinion, a unique set of different locks that are going to work really well for them. So exercise is a key, psychotherapy is a key, ayahuasca is a key. Manual therapy is a key, somatic exercise is a key, yoga is a key. So really recommend trying lots of different things, because often people are doing the right things, but maybe they're not doing them in conjunction with other right things, and maybe they're not doing enough of those things to get you over the line when it comes to healing. All right, portal 4. So stress. And again, this is a whole campfire in of itself, so I'm just going to touch on it from the biomechanical perspective. But stress in of itself is a massive source of pain as well. But from what it's doing to the body, when we go into fight or flight response, our heart rate quickens and our muscles tense up, and we literally get ready to fight the tiger or run away. Now, these muscles here are the psoas muscles, the hip flexors. You've probably heard of them. Now, there's an acronym that my friend Fran came up with for PSOAS, primary storer of all stresses. So the psyche downloads our stress into these muscles because these are the primary muscles needed to either run away or kick and fight. So, and where they connect into is the lower back. So if these guys get super tight, they're going to pull on the spine, create pain, or they'll tilt the hips, which will also create pain. We've got the adrenal glands here, and then muscles called the QLs behind it. So when the adrenal glands are firing 10 to the 9s all the time, these lower back muscles will also get tight and often give us pain and changes in posture, which will lead to pain. And then we've got these neck muscles here called the levator scapulae. So these guys are called the stress buckets. So this is a very useful technique for the psyche. It instead of having a mental breakdown, it sends the tension into the muscles to buffer from the psyche, so we don't break down. So often there's a direct correlation with someone's stress and their neck pain. I've seen many people with this. But yeah, big topic, which I'm just kind of touching on. We'll elaborate further later on. Portal 5, stored emotions and trauma. So we go through life, and many of us have experienced some pretty difficult things that have happened to us in life, and often when we experience something difficult, in order to get through the situation at the time, often these situations weren't necessarily that safe for us. What tends to happen is we can store emotion rather than feel it at the time and process it at the time. We do this for many different reasons. Maybe it wasn't safe, or maybe we have early belief systems put into us by parents and society around the expression of certain emotions. So boys don't cry, for instance, is a big one for men. In my opinion, creates a lot of damage for men. Repression of anger as well is another one, and also repression of grief as well. Got a friend who found his mum dead in bed, and when he was like 16, and he basically, in order to get through, he put those emotions down, and then later on it was coming out as in other ways, let's say. So now this is a very useful mechanism for the psyche, because especially if it's not safe to experience something or feel something at the time, the psyche, part of the psyche's prerogative is safety. So it can repress and suppress for means of staying safe or keeping safe in unsafe environments. That's not the only causation for storage. There are others, but yeah, just to kind of give that as an example. Now, stored emotions and also our emotional temperaments create something called emotional holding postures. So much of our posture in our body is actually down to our psychological setup. So, for example, fighters, if we look at this guy here, his pelvis is tilted forward. A lot of fighters have this forward pelvic tilt as a display of aggression, but really it's often masking a deeper insecurity. So the person needs to make themselves big in order to intimidate. We've got rounded shoulders and flat pelvis. Now, when I see this, this is kind of like a protection posture. Now, often this comes in with a person's story of some sort of abuse or abusive environment, often when they were younger, or maybe even presently. And the person adopts the posture of making themselves smaller to protect themselves. If you notice that the shoulders going forward, this is a protective posture. Military posture, stand up straight, boy. So yeah, this is a rigid posture that often leads to lower back problems. And there's many more of these emotional holding postures, and it's just slightly different for each person. We've all got different stories and different makeups. Okay, so and here's an example of some power poses. So when we put our hands on our hips like this, there's actually a change in the physiology. It's said to raise testosterone in that moment, and whereas if we're in this is the kind of like the protective, unconfident posture that I mentioned earlier. So little exercise for you guys. I've been chatting for a little while now, so I want to put it to you guys. So little exercise. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to move yourself forward into like a collapsed kind of state. Like send your shoulders forward, your head forward, bend forward. Okay. And now I want you to really go into it. I want you to feel, how does this feel? Really go into that. How's this feeling right now? Do you feel good? If you don't feel good, try and feel good in this position. Try and think of something good, or like, happy puppies or something that you enjoy, and feel if it's easy to feel that. All right. Okay, that's enough of that. All right, let's shake that off. Okay, now you guys put your hands in the air like you just don't care. All right. Okay, sit with that for a second. Yeehaw! All right, how do you feel now? Try and go into those good feelings, and I'm curious to ask if it's somehow easier to feel those good feelings. Happy puppies, things you love. Yeah. No worries, Claire. Enjoy your evening. Cheers. Okay, now try and feel bad. Try and feel bad in this position. Bad things. Oh, yeah. Really bad things. Oh, yeah. Anger, hate, jealousy, rage. Okay. Cool, nice one, guys. Shake that off, and be really curious, like in the chat, to hear, like, yeah, what was your guys' experience of that? How was that, guys? Big difference. I'm quite tired, so curling up was very comfy. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's the reason why we sleep in the side on our ball. Low mode in the downwards, position high vibes in the arms up. Yeah, nice, sleepy. Yeah. Definitely harder to feel the opposing emotion. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So felt more like an opening with arms up emotionally. Easy to feel bad in protective posture. Opposite for open posture. Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Quite neutral with arms up. Less easy to feel negative emotion or anything. The curl felt protective. Didn't feel easy to feel great. Yeah, cool, cool. Yeah, nice, guys. First position felt like a shutdown, braced for an attack, anxiety inducing. Yeah. Second position felt like I was open to receive, positive, and put a smile on my face automatically. Nice. Yeah, so if our posture is out of balance, we are always experiencing what that posture is bringing. So if our balance is in a good space, a neutral space, it's easier to feel good. If the posture is out, it's much easier to feel bad. And the postural position being out actually facilitates us feeling not too great, as you guys experienced just then. So thank you, guys. And this is this whole kind of worms in of itself, which is going to be another webinar, but there are energetic correlations as well between, I use the chakra model, which I found is very, very useful, and each energetic gland has a certain energetic output, operates at a certain frequency, and is said to have different psycho-emotional themes attached to it. So, and also different emotional correlations. So the heart, for instance, is grief. The root is said to be fear. Third, like anxiety. So this can often be a good clue as to pain in the body as in the location and some of the psycho-emotional themes that can come along with that. So that's, I'm going to go into that in the next campfire a bit more though. So we are physical, mental, emotional, and energetic beings. So often for a really robust healing approach, we want to address all four levels of the human construct. Okay, Portal 6, organs, digestive health, and lifestyle choices. Okay, so we're back to our muscle here, our super important core muscle that holds everything together. Now, if our organs are not feeling too good, and there's many reasons for this, like, so we got a load of not too great foods, tasty but not too great for us, bad diet, parasites, health problems. There's many things that can affect the health of the organs. Now, what we've got here is a diagram of a guy where the nerves are coming out of the spine and they're feeding muscles as well as organs. So what happens here is when the organ's not feeling too good, the brain will actually shut down the core muscles, and because the last thing you need is a deep abdominal wall pushing down on the inflamed organs. So so sometimes, you know, a lot of the time actually, you know, the digestive health issues are directly creating the back pain. So that's one a lot of people don't think about. So they'll go to all the manual therapy, do the stretching, do the stuff, but they won't address the diet that is actually driving the pain, or the parasite, or the health problem. So this is quite juicy. This is something called viscerosomatic reflexes. Now this is organs referring pain into muscles. Now the one that most people know about is the heart sending pain down the left arm during a heart attack. So we know we're having a heart attack, but there are many other muscles, many other organs that refer to other muscles that can create the pain. So you can see pancreas is around the back here in the front. Kidneys could potentially be creating pain anywhere around here. Yeah, bladder is pretty much where it is, and so on. This one isn't actually fully accurate because the liver also refers to the right shoulder. So I had a client who it looked as though his drinking was causing liver problems, which was then causing his right shoulder pain. And he wasn't up for making the changes and reducing the drinking, unfortunately. So he was bouncing around from manual therapist to this to that, trying to get somewhere. He wasn't getting anywhere because it was the liver that was actually driving the problem, because it was referring pain up into his shoulder. So that's a bit of an out of the box one if you're getting pain through the body. Okay, so we can tell a lot about the health of the system by what's coming out of the other end. So this is a great diagnostic, again, from Eat, Move and Be Healthy, Paul Chek's book. So basically, when we're getting on the toilet, if we're getting adverse effects, let's say, we remember their names. We've got Diarrhea here, Stinker and Slinker there, Pellet Man, the Bodybuilder. I can't remember this guy, but this is when there's like loads of oils in the stool. That's telling you something around the body's ability to produce bile, potentially. So yeah, if something's systematically off with what's coming out the other end, this can point you towards, okay, maybe there's something I need to look at in terms of my gut health. No worries, Louise. Great on Paul Chek book. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for coming. Train of thought. So yeah, this can tell you a lot about what's going on. Also, symptoms such as bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, abdominal pain. This is all pointing us towards challenges with the organs. Okay, and we're looking at an integrative, holistic approach for healing health challenges. Okay, Portal 7, our last portal for pain, shadow psychology. Now, again, this is a massive one. I'm going to do a whole webinar on the shadow in Scorpio season. So, yeah, that's going to be the campfire for then. But just to touch on it now. So, this guy's a badass. Carl Jung, like absolute pioneer in the field of psychotherapy. Can highly recommend Jungian analysis. And there's a great podcast called This Jungian Life, which is 3 Jungian analysts basically discuss the topic of the day. And he was the pioneer on the research and of the shadow, and not just the shadow, but the mechanisms of the self and how all of the different parts of ourselves are interacting with each other. So here is a basic version of a map of the psyche. We have the persona, which is the masks that we wear to navigate through our lives. The ego, which is our conscious sense of self, and then we have the shadow here, which is the repression and suppression of undesirable qualities that we hold within us, and it's the things that we lock in the basement that we don't want to see or feel or experience around ourselves. But challenge is that when we send things into the shadow, they're still operating from behind the cloak. So actually, that's a good metaphor. Like at the end of the Wizard of Oz, like the persona is like the wizard, and he's like the ego and the shadow actually operating things from behind the curtain. Anima or animus, I'll explain that in November. So when it comes to the shadow, now we have something called shadow pain payoffs. Now, the agenda of the ego is the ego generally wants good stuff. It wants the sunsets, it wants the nice food, it wants the cuddles, and all the other good stuff. So whereas the shadow wants everything. The shadow wants the full totality of the human experience. So the shadow wants, the sunrise, the good food, but it also wants the pain, the guilt, the suffering, the challenge, and all of these different aspects of ourselves in the name of experience, as well as in the name of pointing us towards some area that requires healing. So what we end up with is different agendas in the psyche. We get the ego wants good things, the shadow wants other things and can want bad things. And part of the psyche's prerogative is to keep us safe. But our beliefs around safe and what can keep us safe can often be distorted. So this is basically saying that the shadow, the things that are unconscious, can actually unconsciously drive the pain in a hidden agenda that doesn't always make sense to our conscious mind. So the shadow may be creating pain in order to help us to feel safe. It will create pain to avoid change, to avoid vulnerability with others, to avoid failure. So this can be why people sabotage businesses, because like the business is going really well, and then suddenly they do something to sabotage it to avoid failing, but also to avoid succeeding because of what the unconscious believes that will mean for them. Receiving love, staying in our comfort zone, holding on to our identity even if it's causing us pain, staying loyal to family patterns. So for instance, my dad drank alcohol, my granddad drank alcohol, my great-granddad drank alcohol, so to be loyal to the family pattern, I drink alcohol as well, and then I end up with liver problems and a shoulder problem. Avoiding responsibility. It's quite interesting, like it's quite common for athletes when it comes to really important matches to suddenly come up with, there's an injury. This happens a lot, and they don't want the responsibility. It's all unconscious. They don't want the responsibility of potentially losing or being responsible for losing. And avoiding stepping into our potential for what that might mean. So again, Jung, people have a hard time letting go of their suffering out of a fear of the unknown. They prefer suffering that is familiar. Okay, to send it back to you guys, which of these 7 portals do you feel most drawn to explore, or where do you feel challenged? And if you also want to say why, then feel free, but also it's an invitation. So yeah, if you guys want to pop that in the chat box. Dave, 5, stored emotions, yeah. And trauma. Sunny, the fascia. Lucy, fascia and movement. Emotions, organs, and 5 and 6. Emotions and organs. Yeah, actually, I didn't actually talk about that. There's a very strong connection between our stored emotions and the organs as well, because you won't find like a double-blind study on this, but there's an incredibly high instance of ovarian cancer within Catholic nuns, and the theory is that it's due to the guilt, which the guilt particularly affects the ovaries and sexual organs. Lack of love can contribute to the heart attack and so on. 6, organs and shadow psychology for Ivy. 4, 5, and 6. Stress, emotions, organs. Lou, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Kamal, 6 and 7. Cass, 4, 5, and 7. Stress, stored emotions, and 7. Oh, lots of 7, guys. 7s, guys, is my favorite topic. Yeah, come in November, it's going to be a good one. Okay, fantastic, guys. Yeah, fantastic. So this is really great information for you guys, and yeah, really encourage going on your research path, or I'm always available for questions as well. There'll be a WhatsApp group for that. 7, but loads of them. yeah. It's good to be aware. Like, yeah, when you start digging, it's just like, oh shit, there's freaking everywhere. Me too, buddy. Me too. For me, it's 7 all the way. All right, nice one, guys. Thank you. So yeah, again, like either you can ask a question later, or there's going to be a WhatsApp group if you wanted to join. All right, part 3: nightmare to dream, pain to purpose. Okie dokie. So the dream seed. Oh, there should be more on this slide. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. So the dream seed. Now, I really want to introduce this concept. Well, it's probably not an introduction. You've probably heard of it before, but there have been so many good things that have come from pain. In fact, because pain has this mechanism of turning our consciousness and causing us to learn and grow, often so many good things become of that. And within that, I call it the dream seed, if we can look at it in this way. So, we've got some really inspiring figures here, like Frida Kahlo. Like, my God, the physical pain that she went through in her life, that she turned to alchemy through her art is just incredible. And she, she's, if I think of empowering women, like, she's like very, very high on the list for me through what she suffered, but then what she created with that. Malala used to, I can't remember her second name. I was looking at her before the presentation, but basically she was standing up against the Taliban, and literally she got shot in the head when she was 15. She survived and then went on to continue advocating against the Taliban. Like, that takes just fiber, my God. And again, has been this huge inspiring figure for many people. Frida Kahlo's at the Tate right now. Cool, yeah. If I was in the UK, I'd go to that for sure. Mandela, 27 years in prison for his cause, and then came out to then help South Africa in so many ways to evolve itself. Great film, Invictus, about Nelson Mandela. He's played by Morgan Freeman, and it's about I think it's Rugby World Cup. I was crying like a baby to that film. It's so good. So Invictus, highly recommend that film. Carl Jung, loads of suffering there, which caused him to delve into himself and do all of his pioneering research in psychotherapy. And my favourite one, who I think about every single time I think of this, is Martin Luther King. Like, I have a dream, and his dream still reverberating through time. In terms of like the power that he brought forth through the suffering that Black people underwent and still go through in the US and all over the world. So, and that's the power of the dream. Like, his astrology is fascinating. He's got he's like Sun in Capricorn and Moon in Pisces, and Pisces is the moon. Pisces is the dream, and Capricorn is the action, the career, the status to then put that into action. Really inspiring figure. So, and also so many people, move into different careers based on the pain that they experience within their lives. So many people move into healing vocations due to the pain that they've experienced. Others go on to help the environment through feeling the pain of what's being done to our planet. Other people create projects to help others. So there's a lot that can come potentially from our pain if we choose to see it in a certain way. Okay, so the role of myth, coming to the end of this presentation. So the role of myth. Now, myth is very interesting. Now, a myth is something that never happened but is happening all of the time. And our world is a collection of myth. There's like these archetypal stories that we live by and live through us. And myths are we can think of them as our governing life stories, form our identity, our roles in life, and what we are loyal to. So the story of our life. So myth is the story, whereas the actors in our story are the archetypes. So we can have our myths, our life stories that are organized around certain archetypes. The alchemist is a story of transformation. The mentor helps and teaches others. The builder's prerogative is to build good things within their life. The pioneer and the visionary, these are breaking new boundaries and creating something new. Steward is looking after something, an organization or ideal. And the elder is moving into our eldership to teach the younger generation. So these can all form positive myths for us, but what a lot of us are living in is actually a counter myth, especially with pain and chronic pain. So the counter myth is a myth of suffering, and it's living our nightmare. And when we can look at our counter myth or the pain in our lives, we can then start to orientate ourselves towards, okay, what is going to be an empowering myth for us? Okay, and then some example of counter myths that we become attached to, and this ties into the shadow psychology as well. The victim, if we're living the myth of the victim, it's going to be very, very hard to get out of pain because the pain facilitates our story of life. The wounded one, that was me for a long time, like just wound after wound after wound, and the survivor was also me. It's just like, I will survive, I will get through this, and actually my identity as the survivor, I realized, was actually part facilitating a load of the stuff I was experiencing in my life. I'm like, shit, I don't want that. So I've been doing a lot of work to change my myth, and it's a bit of a process. There's going to be a whole other campfire around that, and some articles coming out about myth. The martyr, we can all think of a martyr, but also these aren't all necessarily negative as well, because I can think of like Jesus, for instance, was enacting the martyr in a very powerful, positive way in order to inspire many others. The warrior, always fighting, do, go, go, go. I will take the burdens, I will do the stuff, and I will burn myself out because of that story that I'm living. People pleaser, I'm going to compromise myself and never stand up for my beliefs or what I stand for in order to keep the peace and experience pain because of that. The perfectionist is an interesting one. I had a client a few years ago, her wedding, we got her ready for a wedding, got her out of pain, but the drapes were wrong in her wedding, and that's all she could focus on because she was with the perfectionist mindset, and ruined her wedding. And she had like the tightest internal fascia I've ever experienced, because the rigid perfectionism was then creating rigidity in the body and the controller. So these are all potential myths or counter myths that are potentially creating pain in our lives. So again, if any of that resonates, it's a good one for some further investigation potentially. So then we can use the nightmare or the counter myth to understand what we don't want, so then we can move to what we do want. Now, some people will have an idea of their dream in life already, but if you don't, then the pain is a good place to start. And from there you can find out what you do want and begin to create a new myth or story to live by. So a client recently, I won't go into details, but we discovered he was living with not the most empowering myth. However, it was serving him in some regard. And when he started looking at a different myth, man, good things have started to happen. And when we look at our myths, we are going to the core. We're going to the core of what is driving our entire lives, and that myth can either be disempowering, create pain, or through consciousness we can choose to start developing a new myth that's going to serve us a lot more. Dave, this is a whole webinar, and I'm actually the next article I write is going to be all about this. So it's going to tie together myth, love, and the dream. So I'll let you know when that comes out, hopefully next week. Okay, so question for you guys. Well, not quite yet. So what is your dream? This is the importance of having a dream, because our myth and our dream are like intertwined. And what this, what I keep banging on about is the dream is so important. This is like an organizing principle for how we live our lives, and whether we live a life of pain and suffering, or whether we live a life of engagement and love. There's a great quote: when you have a big enough dream, you don't need a crisis. When you have a big enough dream, you don't need a crisis, by psychologist Jerry Wesh. So I'm going to be asking you guys what your dream is in a sec, but just to give you some lead-in ideas of different dreams. Some people is to live free of pain and full of energy, to play with their kids or grandchildren, to find love or deepen their relationships, to travel and explore the world, to do meaningful work that I love, to feel happy, peaceful, and truly alive, to become the healthiest version of myself, overcome fear and live with confidence, create something that leaves a positive legacy, to wake up excited about life each day. So guys, I would be really curious to hear what your dreams are, and also as well, if you don't know your dream, that's cool. That's exactly why we're here, and there's going to be subsequent campfires really dialing in on the dreams. So yeah, guys, I'd love to hear your dreams if you know them, and if not, feel free to share as well. Or maybe you're living your dream already. Maybe you're living your dream already, and I'd love to hear that as well. Overcome all the fear! Yeah, Liz. Freedom and fun. Nice, Lucy. Anyone else? What are your dreams? Pretty much all the things you mentioned, yeah. To be in my divine power and live fully without limitations. Nice, Sonny. To do the thing I love most and get paid abundantly for it. Yeah, nice, Kamal. Cass, to embody my creativity and live within it all day, every day. Yeah, killer. Ivy, to live a free life, a life of give and take, perfectly balanced, of sharing my art, to be beautiful mother, to move past stagnant ways of being, to believe in myself more, to stay inspired, to reclaim all power lost. Power! I love it. Dave, I'm still working on it, working it out, but know my soul's purpose is to help others heal. Great, yeah, you know that's the thread. That's the thread. We don't need to have it all figured out because it tends to unveil itself as we go. Jordan says release his album of old school R&B singer song written. Yeah, nice. Send it to the group when you've done it. All right, beautiful guys, beautiful. Zoe, flowing, consistent soul work business and all that flows from this. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm not going to open this up too much, but notice, guys, how a lot of this, some of it was for things, but a lot of it was for feelings, how you're going to feel. So I'll just give that little tidbit there, and again, we're going to explore that another time, probably in this article that's going to come. So thank you, guys. That's great. Okay, coming to the end. Thank you for your time, guys. So Life Beyond Pain. I'm not going to read it out, but loads of good stuff. But yeah, coming back to freedom, I think Sonny said freedom earlier, and you know, this is I think a key word when it comes to pain, is that getting out of it gives us freedom, and freedom to pursue our dreams if that is something that you would like to do within your life. So it's pretty good. Okay, so we have two paths, two choices. We can live in our counter myth nightmare, comfortable nightmare, quote unquote, which involves ignoring the pain, avoiding it, fighting it, trying to quick fix it, numbing it. Then we identify with it over time. We identify it, we become limited by it. We live in fear and victim consciousness. Life contracts further, the nightmare deepens, your dreams die, and life generally sucks. That escalated pretty quickly, but it's good to know that actually this process happens slowly over years, and it sneaks up on you. And believe me, I've worked with enough elderly people that it's snuck up on and it's kind of gone a bit too far. You know, it's really, really worth listening to the pain teacher, because sometimes it's not Miss Trunchbull banging down the door. Sometimes it's this like kind of slow death by 1,000 cuts. So yeah, this is the price for comfort. Whereas if we engage with the pain, we take the empowered Dreamweave myth, listen to the pain, we learn from it, we make changes, we heal, we reclaim our energy, transform it into purpose, create our dreams. We do this, we live motivated and fueled by love, enjoy the gold gathered through alchemy, and life is lived more fully, which is the key thread of Dreamweaver. Actually, that's emergent. So transforming pain into purpose. To wrap up, pain gets our attention, it invites awareness, awareness creates choice, choice creates change, change creates healing, healing restores our energy, energy fuels purpose, purpose gives meaning, and every nightmare potentially contains a dream seed. And the dream gives us greater engagement, growth, and access to live fully, and in other words, love. And this is the gift that the pain is trying to give us. It is an engagement with life. And really, this is what Dreamweave has become. It's not necessarily about achieving our dreams. It's about the journey that takes us on, and how it engages us with this process of living, which we'll talk about another time. So, every nightmare contains a seed of transformation. Do we run from the pain, or do we cultivate the seed? Do we cultivate the seed? Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap up very, very quickly, so we do, have as much time for questions. So, yeah, I've got a little gift for you guys. So I'm going to send you through another video, 10 Steps to Overcoming Pain presentation. So this is going to be more of a nuts and bolts specific 10-step guide of like, here's all of the things that you can do for physical pain. So I'll send that through to you guys afterwards. Body work for emotional release. So I'm in Costa Rica, you guys are in the UK. However, my brother Kamal, who is on this call, and a couple of sisters, they're in London. So if you were interested in getting some fascial work, then I can put you in touch with them. And they basically we work with the fascial trains and tracks in the system to create balance and regulation within the body. And it's amazing for helping pain. So yeah, I can hook you guys up with them in London. Or if you fancy coming to Costa Rica, see me, then you're very welcome. Here's some of the typical results. You can see like before, not great alignment. Afterwards, good alignment. This guy was looking at an elbow operation. He didn't need it after three sessions. This guy, big change in his posture, his forward head coming back, helping him with his shoulder pain. This guy's a recent one, man. One session and he looks like he's been tonking in the gym. The wild thing here was his face structure completely changed. So you see, he looks like a different dude. Promise you, it's the same guy. It's wild. So yeah, it's powerful stuff. Scoliosis correction. It's great for scoliosis. So a girl from a few years ago. And then yeah, this guy as well. You can see a whole tightening of his body. It looks like he's lost a load of weight. He actually gained 2 kilos on this program because he didn't follow the nutrition stuff, but he looks as though he's lost a lot. So that's after 5 sessions or so. Okay, right, guys, this is a request to you, actually. So I'm building Dreamweaver. I want this to be a community endeavor, and I'm dedicating myself to the science of this. And basically, I would love to ask you, if you're up for coming on the call with me at some point, I'd love to ask you a bunch of questions about Dreamweaving, what you feel around Dreamweaving, what lights you up, what kind of challenges that you face. And yeah, just so I can collect information that's going to help me to basically create this into the best thing that I possibly can. So yeah, if you're up for that, I would love to have you on for a call. And then if you're up for them being a guinea pig, I'd love to then try some of the coaching techniques and modalities that I'm putting together. So we can go through some questions and we can do some work on your dream on that call. So be really appreciate that if you're up for spending that time. Be about an hour or so. And then there's the Dreamweave Tribe, which is a WhatsApp group. I'll send you through a link for that. So it's a nurturing community space for connection, healing, and dreamweaving. So yeah. And then the next campfire is going to be the Engineer's Guide to Spirituality, a metaphysical blueprint bridging science and spirit for health, healing, and understanding this weird and wonderful life from a former atheist engineer. I'm going to make the next one a lot more interactive because I think, I think there's a lot more juice in hearing more from you guys. So we're going to probably do some talking stuff, get you guys in breakout rooms maybe, if you're up for that. Okay, and then finally, talking of portals, my man Kaz. So this, you've seen it in the top right corner, is a phenomenal mandala that my brother Kaz has painted for the Dreamweaver project, and it's freaking phenomenal. It's 120 centimeters square, huge. The guy is a genius, and like when you're with this thing, it changes color. You see all sorts of wild things in the geometries, and yeah, it's called Threshold Portals, which is to honor life transitions and stepping into new times within life. So it's a whole massive new chapter for me in my life. So he's painted this painting for me, and I'm just so grateful. It's just just unbelievable. It pains me because I couldn't bring it back on the plane, so I'm trying to get out here as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, can highly recommend getting in touch with Kaz if you are approaching a threshold within your life and want to honor that with the most phenomenal work of art. It's I'm getting goosebumps just chatting about it. It's just off the Richter. So Kaz, you legend, thank you so much. If someone wants to be connected with Kaz, then just let me know and I'll hook a brother or sister up. Okay, guys, thank you for your time. Let's go through some questions. I just on 90 minutes now, so if you guys are up for hanging around for a bit and asking some questions, my apologies for going a bit over time, as per usual. There's so much cool stuff to share all the time. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to come off mute or pop your hand up, come off mute, and ask away.
With regards to the fascia work, Is the side effect of fascia work that it will release trauma that's stored in that fascia by a side effect, or is that exactly what it does?
Yes, so that absolutely can happen. It's not to be attached to it, but yes, very, very regularly there's a catharsis happening with the person on the table. So we work in the fascia, we'll come across something, and suddenly there will be a big emotional release, and then the emotion is able to move through. Doesn't always happen, but yeah, definitely can happen a lot. I found that when I started my career in fascial work, because I was very left brain, logical, sciencey, and not that connected to my emotions. No worries, Liz. Big love. Bye, Rafi. I was attracting clients to mirror that towards back to me, and I wasn't actually getting any emotional release with anyone for like the first 2 years of doing this, and then I started to get more acquainted with my emotional world, started opening up my sensitivity, and then I started attracting clients uh, who started to release. So the first one was crazy because it was a full blown energetic. The guy was shaking and convulsing, not violently, but it was strong for about 45 minutes. So it was just holding the space and continuing to help the emotional release. So
Wow.
definitely, definitely. But again, it's not to be attached to it because generally when you go into the session, just like, I'm looking for the emotional release, I'm going to make it happen, we can't really force it. It's kind of like the way I look at it is just like if the choreography of the spirit and the soul is just so, something may happen. If it's not, then it won't. So it's kind of mysterious. You can't really predict it. You can have an inkling that it's going to happen as a therapist, but yes, it's hard to predict. But the answer is yes. It's very good for that. But it's also great for pain, great for structure. Now you saw some of the pictures; it can change things very very quickly for people.
And sorry, just one more question. Would someone like you be able to do organ visceral manipulation, where they get the organs sitting in the right positions? I've heard of that. And on one of Paul's podcasts, he said massive results.
Yeah, so I practice a basic form of this visceral manipulation, which is mainly focused more around the emotional release because you could also, you can palpate someone's colon, for instance, and sometimes it's like rock hard. So I found many times we start then massaging the colon and then it starts to release the emotion there. So colon is a lot of sadness usually. So yeah, it's a basic form of visceral manipulation, but there's some cats who can do some wild stuff. Like I know a guy, he's a Czech level 4 actually. He can just do these kind of tactical strokes and certain things and get the organs moving in different ways, and then this can create all sorts of things. So also, it's interesting energetically, the chakras can spin. So like you can sometimes perceive them. They're supposed to one's supposed to spin one way, the next one the other way, next one the other way, and so on up. So you can sometimes feel like actually this one's stuck or this one's going the wrong way. So you can do things there. But yeah, like visceral manipulations are like a great start. But you can also do it yourself. I mean, the colon's the easiest to find. So yeah, you can trace it and just gently. So you don't do it if you're experiencing any abdominal pain or any problems, but yeah, you can just gently start feeling it through. The first time I got in touch with my colon, I was doing a colon cleanse, and part of it was to have an enema for 45 minutes. And if you've got enema in there, then it blows up the colon like a balloon, and then you can really easily feel it because it's full of water. And also, yeah, that's outside of the emotional release perspective. I mean, I was massaging it because all of the encrusted feces gets stuck to the inside of the colon. So mainly it was just massaging to try and release all of that. But yeah, you can absolutely get emotion through that as well. Yeah,
Nice one, thank you.
one of my favorite topics.
Yeah.
I have a question about the fascia therapy. Can you also do it when you're pregnant? Can you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can.
Yeah, absolutely. But you would the practitioner would tailor it slightly. So they're mainly that there's a line called the deep front line, which is much deeper in the body. So
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't go near the deep front line because part of the deep front line you need to go through the abdomen to get to the psoas, the hip flexors.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't do that because that's just too close to the womb. Pretty much everything else. diaphragm in the later stages in the third trimester, we wouldn't do that either because the bump would be in the way. But yeah, otherwise it could be very, very supportive for women in pregnancy because, a big part of, back pain is massive for women because that load on the front is pulling you forward. And, the baby gets to a certain point whereby it shuts off the core muscles from inside, that important core muscle I mentioned. So you lose all the stability. So, there's different phases of training at different trimesters. So like first trimester, women can pretty much do a lot of the stuff that she was doing before, although I'd be mindful around intense core exercise. Second trimester, you're coming away from core exercise completely. Third trimester, if she feels like even doing anything, which she might not, then it's just very light balance work, sitting on a Swiss ball, and just I mean, it's work enough just carrying the baby, but yeah, fascial work can be great because what it will do is it will put the hips in good alignment so that the seat for the baby is in a better way, and it will also fire up that back chain as well, so there's more support from the back. Yeah, and also anything that puts the pelvis in a better position, which the fascial work absolutely will, can potentially also help with the birth.
Okay.
Different example completely, but a very similar concept. I had a client a few months ago. He was a slightly larger chap, and we did some fascial work on him. Took his hips from being forward to like that, and he was on the toilet 5 times and let go of just an unbelievable amount of shit that was stuck in his colon that couldn't move because his pelvis was kind of cutting the colon off.
Oh my God.
So in a similar thing, like if the woman's pelvis is in a better position, it's going to potentially help for an easier birth. Cool.
Well, I'll definitely get the number off you for that.
Cool. I'll probably hook you up with Amy because if she's pregnant, it'd probably be better. Yeah, better to have a woman practitioner.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah. Anyone else? I talked you all to death.
I'm not sure how coherent this will be, but something's coming up for me around self-inflicted pain. We often consume things like food, drugs, alcohol, or other stuff, that inflicts pain upon us. And often for me, I know you get the impulse to consume these things or to do this thing that is going to hurt, but you can't derail yourself from the impulse sometimes. Do you know what I mean? You still go ahead and inflict yourself knowing it's gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I don't know what I'm really saying about it, but I'm just sort of, it's like a weird human impulse, isn't it, to inflict this pain upon ourselves. And I guess I'm wondering if we do that because we're looking for the healing that comes out the other side of the pain. Maybe we're looking for the seed. We're planting the seed that.
Well, Alyssa Huntley told me that it's because I'm very good at directing my anger inside, but don't want to express the anger. So the self-damaging is just like smashing a rock, but you're actually doing it to yourself. So it's a way of getting anger out, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there for sure. Yeah, it's a massive, massive topic. Yeah, thanks for the question, bud. There's a few things in there. So a lot of addictive behaviors are an attempt for safe love. So because the bottle's not going to talk back, or the bottle's not going to inflict pain. So it's interesting because it's always good to monitor what kind of state you're in when the impulse is coming on, because this can give you clues as to what's going on. So yeah, Czech says that all addiction is actually an attempt to find love in some way. So also there are preordained patterns within the body, nervous system, psyche. like a one that I've observed over the years is that, especially with like drugs and alcohol, is that usually when people start with like drugs and alcohol, it's a very very positive experience. I know with me it was full of connection. Like a lot of people, it might be when they go to uni for the first time, they're like outside of home, they're making all of these friends, they're having an amazing time, they're touching love through MDMA and freaking having the best time drinking and everything's sweet. Oh, amazing. So then it kind of gets hardwired into the nervous system and psyche that drinking drugs is good times. This brings me good times because times are so good now when I'm having these things. And what happens is as age and maturity happens, then naturally people kind of stop going to these areas. But some people continue, and I've got a bunch of friends, and I know you probably do as well, who are kind of like, still kind of like going to these places, even though they're not yielding any positivity in their life, because there's this past association with this brings pleasure in some way. So it's kind of like this like dichotomy between pain and pleasure. The conscious mind, the ego knows that this fucks me up and causes me pain, and I don't want it. But the shadow, with its crossed agendas, is like, no, this brings safety, this brings comfort, this brings happiness, because this is the wiring of it. Then another aspect is the saboteur. So the saboteur is an archetype that we all have. It's a survival archetype, and the saboteur is one of his favorite techniques is pushing the fuck it button. Again, when things are going well for us, there's a part of our psyche that just goes off, often due to the past traumas that we've experienced. Like, nah, you know what? I'm not actually going to let you have that really good thing that the ego wants. So let's go on a bender and completely derail that, and then reinforce the negative self-belief patterns I have about myself. And therefore the myth as well. This is where looking at the myth and the story for your life is so damn powerful, because the myth should naturally evolve as you do, but when you can consciously look at the myth, and there's going to be a lot more coming out about myth because it's a massive player. It's like one of the keys in terms of life change and transformation. And the thing is that if you don't start looking at the myth and changing the myth, then that story is always going to pull you back into the behavior. It's always going to pull you back, whatever that myth is. And then the myth is like more than just those single archetypes. There's, it's like myths, it's like codes of conduct, the story which I'm living. So if you don't consciously engage with and look at the story and start changing the story, that story that is the way you live your life, you're always going to be, the conscious mind, the ego is always going to be fighting against that myth. And the myth is very powerful. It's like a central organizing structure for our psyche. So, and then as Dave says, if it's like punching the wall or something like that, then this is often happening in the heat of the moment, like a discharge of anger. But the thing is like the discharge of anger, that anger has often been building for years and years and years, and repressed for years and years and years, because anger in of itself isn't necessarily bad, negative. Nothing is really good or bad. It's all contextual, and we've had many negative ideas around anger put towards us. Well, for good reason, because anger can be a very very destructive force. But sometimes maybe the anger is actually legitimate, maybe it is actually called for, maybe it is actually appropriate for the situation. Anger is this very powerful force to establish boundaries. The energy of no, like that's not happening. But it's like consciously directed anger. When we're punching the wall due to it building up, this is unconscious spillover, and then you got to deal with a broken hand for the next 3 weeks. So so I hope that. I mean, there's more to that question. This is quite a deep one, but hopefully that kind of,
it's good.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Any other questions? I'm happy to sit here and answer. This is fun. But
I just want to say it was really good. Fair play to you.
thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that.
One of those ones where you want to take a photo of every slide.
I can send you. I'll send you the slideshow. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wicked.
Yeah. So I'm going to send a little resource pack out to everyone with the different things on it, and I'm going to record this other video with all the nuts and bolts of the pain stuff this afternoon, and yeah, get that all out to you guys. But I'll send you the slides, mate. Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Unless anyone's got anything else, we'll close it. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, guys. This is yeah, like the first of a few. I think it was a big learning for me with this one. I think next time I'm going to make it less teachy, less stuff, and more interactive. Because yeah, I mean these campfires is supposed to be a campfire. It's not one person like talking mostly. So yeah, thank you for being here. There's going to be more of these, and as this evolves, yeah, I'm going to be opening up more things in terms of Dreamweaver. I mean, I'm freaking pumped for this at the moment. I mean, this is me living my dream or me building my dream. So my deep thanks to you guys for being a part of that dream in these early stages. So yeah, just nothing but love to you and all the other guys and who were on and anyone who's catching up. Thank you so much for coming and being involved. And yeah, if you enjoyed this, then yeah, there's going to be more coming. So yeah. All right, lots of love, everyone.
Will they always be on a Wednesday?
Sorry.
Will they always be on a Wednesday? Because I'm always free Wednesdays.
I haven't decided yet. Generally, it's going to be around the full moon ish. But
Oh, so it's not a weekly thing then.
this won't be weekly. Man, it takes so long to put this presentation together. Like, I can't do it weekly.
This is your first one. This is the first one you've done.
I've done presentations like this over the years before. So yeah, it's not my first rodeo, but for Dreamweaver, yeah, this is the first one. Yeah.
That's really good.
Thank you. All right, then, me lovers. Have a wonderful evening, wonderful week, wonderful month, life, and yeah, see you all really soon. Any further questions that crop up, please feel free to ask me. I can either send me a message or I'm going to send you through the Dreamweaver community. So there's going to be a dedicated group in there if you want to ask any questions in there, which is slightly preferable because then everyone learns from that. But of course, you know, if you want to ask me personally, that's also fine. So yeah, big love, guys, and enjoy your sleep. See you later.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.